Hello, my good spooky friends, and welcome to the sad finale of Halloween season. If you're listening to this, today is Halloween. Go out there, trick or treat. I don't care if you're 45, I don't care if you're 11, but if you're 11 listening to this, your parents should probably monitor more what you're listening to. And have a good ass time, man. Halloween is here. It's my favorite time of year. Lots of good things going on. And so today, in honor of putting to rest Halloween 2022, we are going to be talking about Halloween's origin story and also mix in a couple urban legends and some backstories into things like witches and werewolves. So that said, if you stumbled upon us, don't know where to find us, Hops Geek News on every podcasting platform. Hopefully by this point, Spotify has got their shit together and we're good to go on Spotify because we've been having issues with them. But wherever else, go find us. We are hosted by Spreaker. That's where you can also find our episodes. Go to Hops Geek News on any social media platform, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all of that good stuff. That's where you can find us. And yeah, let's have a party. So beer of the week, if you don't know how we do things, we do kind of a beer of the week. We dive into what we've messed up on, looked into since the last time we recorded, what we've been reading or watching, the latest in pop culture news, and then we go with our main topic, which today, of course, is Halloween's origin story. And today, some really good news happened. Your boy loves Crocs, as every human being should, because Crocs are the best things. They're like pillows on your little, or in my case, gigantic feet. And so I entered Shipyard Brewing Company's competition. They were doing a contest to see the biggest Pumpkinhead fans, and they had pairs of Crocs to give away. I believe they had 10. Well, I climbed in my bathtub. I carved a pumpkin, or rather my kids carved the pumpkin. I just stole it. Jumped in the bathtub. I had my Pumpkinhead candle, my merch on, the glassware, all that stuff. I had Carrie take this picture and I posted it, and I found out I won a pair of Shipyard Pumpkinhead Crocs, and I am through the roof. And so today's episode on my end is brought to you by none other than Shipyard Brewing Company's Pumpkinhead out of Portland, Maine. Oh my gourd, it's our favorite time of year, Pumpkinhead season. Our Pumpkinhead Ale is a clean, crisp American wheat ale flavored with a unique blend of pumpkin spices. It only comes alive once a year, so enjoy it while you can. 4.5%. It's a pale ale, whole wheat, Munich light, brewed with Sapphire and Williamette, and it pairs perfectly with beer, pies, watching TV, hiking, all that good stuff. You can get it everywhere starting in August, especially in the New England area. Rim your glass with cinnamon sugar and enjoy this bad boy, and especially get to Shipyard's tap room because their tap room is one of the better tap rooms in stores that I've ever been to. Enough about me. Lauren, hi. How was your Tuesday now that we're recording this, and what do you got for us today?
So before I get into my beer, I just want to say congratulations. Well, I think that Crocs are absolutely disgusting and horrific atrocities to fashion, although I do hear they're comfortable. I'm still proud of you. And honestly, you deserve to win because you truly are one of Pumpkinhead's biggest fans. So they did reward you correctly. So very happy for you. I am not drinking a Pumpkinhead, which actually I haven't yet this year. I need to grab one for Halloween. So I am drinking a Florida beer from Swamphead Brewery, which is near Gainesville. Not to piss off any Gators fans, but it's the only good thing that's in Gainesville. It's called Pumpkin Spice Latte. It's a white stout brewed with spices and espresso roast coffee. This is, I came across an article years ago that was like the 10 prettiest breweries in the States, and this brewery was on there. It is an absolutely gorgeous brewery. If you're ever in Gainesville.
Gorgeous?
Hey, I didn't even mean, look at that. I love an unintentional pun. But yeah, definitely check out this brewery, and their beer is solid too. Like, I don't think I've ever had a bad beer from them. They make some awesome beers. And with pumpkin beers, I'm very particular. I think this is a great one. It's not overly stout. I love it when they have coffee in them as well. But yeah, you want me to read the description on the back? It's fun.
Oh, give us the description. Yes, because you sent me this one, and I'm excited to drink it.
I did. Yeah, I think I sent you this one last year too. So, every year all these beers tend to be a smidge different. But so autumn begins as the first gust of cool morning air cuts through the field. It's time for a cup of joe and a chat about life's little things. Welcome, Pumpkin Spice Latte, to the conversation. Our delicate white stout is infused with everything you love about fall, featuring locally roasted espresso coffee and all of the spices from your mom's pumpkin pie. Pumpkin Spice Latte is a cool, sippable masterpiece in a glass. And I have it in my Hello Pumpkin glass because Tracy Tracy doesn't just send me Tracy beer, she also sends me beer glasses. And this is a fun little Hello Pumpkin
Tracy
beer glass.
sends beer glasses too? That's amazing.
She does. And what's actually kind of funny, one of the pumpkins like changes with color, like when it gets cold.
Oh,
that's fun.
Wow, that's amazing. So that's dope.
That's pretty cool.
Gosh.
You can actually see, like, when I touch it, the pumpkin turns white, and then when the beer's touching it, it's orange.
That is rad. Oh yeah, see, I do see that. Yeah, it's white. Oh man,
oh
Tracy,
my gosh,
Tracy's the best. Shout out to Tracy.
She is the best.
She's amazing.
And she's in Orlando again.
What the heck? She's always there. It's not fair.
She's got her beer releasing. So she's there's a brewery in Orlando called Gatlin Hall, and her and our friend Ski, they bid on it. They were doing like a charity auction for like a local school there, and they bid on getting to brew a beer with one day. And so she flew down here and ended up having to wait out Hurricane Ian here to brew the beer. And then she's coming back on Thursday night, which is partially why we're recording on Tuesday. Tracy's beer is coming out. And it is called, I guess I can say this now because it won't come out till Sunday. It's Saturday Night Live, but the night has a K, and it's a UCF theme because it's UCF homecoming weekend.
It's pretty cool. That's awesome. Tracy, man, she's the best. Seriously, Tracy is the best. Get yourself a friend like Tracy, and find yourself a hype man like Sean as well. Just a side note, because Sean's hyping me up about the Crocs right now. So get yourself some good friends. Surround yourself with good people, and life will be awesome. This weekend, speaking of life is awesome, I just got to get this off my chest. I'm going to be at When We Were Young. I am no longer young. However, I'm flying out to Vegas and will return on Halloween. And so I'm going to be going, and hopefully, assuming the wind doesn't cancel Saturday like it did this past weekend, get to see some really awesome bands like My Chemical Romance, Paramore, The Starting Line, Bayside, Knocked Loose. I'm just going to let my hair down and what's left of it anyways. And let my degenerative disc disease hopefully not hold me back too much from headbanging and mosh pitting, right? Because we're all old now and geriatric. So pop a couple Tums, get some aspirin, and hit the show. Now, what did we mess up on last week? It looks like it's empty. We were perfect. Are we perfect?
Not that I know of. I'm sure there were things we messed up on, but
I'm sure somebody just let us know.
Yeah, Tim did not let me know of anything that we messed up on this past week, so I think we're good.
Tim was awfully quiet.
But I did have a friend, actually, Jessica. We talked a smidge on they just moved Hallow Scream to SeaWorld, or they didn't move it. They just started one at SeaWorld, and she went to it the other night and said it was great. She was much better than she expected. So that's fun. A new Halloween thing in Orlando, because that's what we need. We need more Halloween things. Preferably ones that aren't over $100 to go for one night. And this one was like $40. So shit's expensive.
That's pocket change in
compared
Orlando
to the
bucks.
other ones. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Compared in Orlando bucks, $40 is pocket change. That's pretty incredible.
Yep. Well, who knows if it'll go up or not at SeaWorld. They're always begging people to come visit them.
That's true.
Yeah, I don't think that we messed up on anything else. So what have you been reading or watching this week?
Yeah, let's dive in. I have some things to talk about. I've watched a lot of stuff this time of year. I watched this movie called Prom Night in 1980. Jamie Lee Curtis. This is the Jamie Lee Curtis-sance that I've gone on this past Halloween. It's a slasher film about her young sister who died when she was a kid. And so somebody now is coming back all these years later to kill those who were responsible at the prom. And it got remade, I think, in the later 2000s. And I don't remember watching that one, but it was your stereotypical kind of 80s slasher film. Nothing to write home about. It was very predictable, but that was decent. I watched Grave Encounters 2 because I watched Grave Encounters 1, so I had to check out the second one. And what's his name? He's into the Descendants films, and he's also in Letterkenny. I can't remember his name. He's one of the two hockey bros in Letterkenny, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I just forgot it, and I should have wrote it down. But he's actually in this film, and it's a 2011 film, so it's cool to see him like back so young and everything. And another found footage film. I watched Satanic Panic the other night with Carrie. We sat down and watched this, which is a 2019 film that was on Shudder. So if you have Shudder through Amazon, that movie is actually really good. It's got Rebecca Romijn in it, who you might remember as being Mystique in the X-Men films. And basically this pizza delivery girl, she's broke. She takes this gig out in this rich, fancy area. The person doesn't tip her. Her bike doesn't start. And so she's like, dude, what the hell? Tip me. I need gas money. And she gets drug into a satanic cult that wants to sacrifice a virgin to impregnate so that a demon may be born. And it's a dark comedy / horror and has some really tense moments of horror action, some really hard to like look at, like, oh wow, this scene's pretty brutal, but also it's pretty funny at the same time. So go watch that if you still are in the spooky mood and you're listening to this and you're still listening to it during the daytime. Watch that tonight on your Halloween passing out candy. I watched a little bit of Terrifier 2. I won't talk about that yet just because I haven't finished the film, but that's like a big thing right now. Terrifier with Art the Clown. And they're putting this movie out in theaters, like 1,000 theaters, the Halloween weekend, apparently. And it's made like $5 million, which is pretty impressive considering the first one, I believe, went right to streaming. They somehow got theaters on board to play this one. And the old age trick of getting people to buy into the fact that, oh, this person's passing out during this movie, this person's throwing up during this movie. It's all bullshit. Like Exorcist tried that back in the day. It's like torture porn, though. It's like gore porn, which is kind of tough at times, but
somebody puked during Jaws.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with like the motion sickness, but whatever. I'm not even going to touch this. So go see that. I watched Barbarian, which just recently dropped on HBO Max, and that stars Bill Skarsgård, and it's got Justin Long in it. And I'm not going to say more about what it's about because go in as blind as you possibly can. It's a very good movie. You actually hate Justin Long in this movie, surprisingly enough. He played his character perfectly. And there's some pretty tense moments in this, and it takes place in Detroit, which everybody knows Detroit is scary enough. And now throw in other things that happen, and you'll never want to stay in Airbnb again. So go watch that movie. And then last but not least, I said I've watched a lot. I watched a little film about the changing of the hierarchy in the DC universe or something like that. Black Adam, you might have heard of it. I went and saw that movie in 4DX. And
Clerks.
Oh, God, yes. Okay. Before I get to Black Adam, I saw Clerks 3
I kind of
finally.
wanted to hear your opinions on Clerks. Well, non-spoiler opinions, because it is still new.
It was extremely emotional. Like, I was not expecting. Of course, we got to talk to Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson at FanX, and you can go listen to that episode now. And it's just a 10-minute episode we did at their booth at Comic-Con. And man, I kind of knew what was happening, of course, because I kind of had to spoil myself before this interview to talk about. However, I wasn't expected for the gut punch you got from Brian. Like, Brian had played so well. Every emotional scene, all the heaviness was fantastic. They bank on a lot of the nostalgic factor of Clerks 1, but it works in the context of what the film is trying to tell you. And it brings me back to my high school days when I discovered these films, because that's basically all it is. This is like a trip through memory lane, friendships and things. And that's what it really does, is bring me back. And so it left me with a really good, warm feeling. I really liked it. I thought it was a really great addition to this, and it wasn't your typical Kevin Smith film. It was, but he wrote some really emotional scenes, and they acted their asses off.
Yeah, and the Easter eggs, I mean, there's so many Easter eggs, some subtle, some obvious. Like, his daughter took over a role that his mom played in the original, stuff like that was really cool. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't even put it, because I fortunately got to see it before we saw them, and they said so many people were coming up to them and saying basically what you just said, you surprised me. You guys wowed both of them. Their acting chops were who knew they had it in them? I think some people knew Brian had it in him. Well, yeah, I mean, Brian's versed in theater, right? But yeah, Jeff is somebody who doesn't consider himself an actor, and he doesn't want to act. But he's really good at it. He's good at it. Yeah. I mean, they both kind of blew me away. And the scenes with Rosario Dawson were just, wow. It was incredible. Yeah. Oh, and there's another thing that I'll mention to you off screen, because it's a spoiler that I really liked in the credits. Right on. Well, yeah. So that's what I thought about that movie. I did watch that. And then, of course, Black Adam, like I said, I went and saw this in 4DX. And if you're going to watch this movie in 4DX, get a seatbelt. For the love of God, get a seatbelt. That's my only recommend. This movie is 2 Black
hours
Widow
of
in
nonstop.
4DX.
This movie is 2 hours nonstop action, right? That whole movie, I swear to God, there was a kid and his dad sitting 3 seats down. And I thought I saw this kid fly out of his seat at one point. There's a sequence where the whole thing just jerks, and I saw this kid fly forward, and I was like, oh my God, did he just fly into the seats in front of us? Luckily,
did your watch ask you if you were exercising?
No, I didn't have my watch. My watch was dead, funny enough, which I'm stupid. I should have done. But this movie, it's like you're moving around. You're constantly getting stuff thrown at you, like, the air and the water thrown at you. Overall, though, I really enjoyed Black Adam. If you want to hear me talk spoilers, I was on Kyber Culture, and that should be coming out any day now, if not already. And I talked with Joe about this film, but I won't spoil it because I think it's a really
I
good
haven't
movie.
seen it.
It's good. Of course, it's not going to move the needle in comic book genre to Oscar worthy, but it's literally like 2 hours of just action. I thought Hawkman and Dr. Fate were my favorite parts of this movie. There's a character that was my least favorite part about the movie, and then The Rock did a pretty decent job. So go see Black Adam. It's a pretty good movie, and it looks like DC, fingers crossed, with some recent news that we'll talk about in a minute, might have something going for them.
Dun, dun,
What'd you
dun.
watch?
All right, so I watched finished House of the Dragon, ended.
I'm so behind.
It was good. I liked it. There was one scene very intense. I did not see it coming, and I saw like somebody made some TikTok, and it was one of the characters, and it's just a scene of them in there, and it's not spoiling anything, but it's the music that's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're fucked. So so it was good. I enjoyed the whole season. The time jumps were a little much. I felt like they skipped things. I felt like we were spending so much time trying to, okay, this person's that person, this person's that person. But outside of that, I don't know why necessarily they did that. I don't know if they felt like they didn't need to dive in on the stories and you could just kind of figure out like, okay, clearly these people are still friends. Clearly these people are not anymore. And they just figured we'd fill in the blanks, or if it was because they weren't certain they were going to get a season 2. I don't know, but we already know a season 2 is coming. But I did enjoy the show. I watched The Watcher. So that's a series on Netflix. It's got the guy from Ant-Man. He's the new husband, Cassie's stepdad, and he's also in Will and Grace. And there's quite a few people in there. You got the MILF from American Pie in there and everything. And it's based on a true story. And so I looked up the true story, and I will give one spoiler because I was disappointed and I don't know if I would have watched this if I had known. While it's based on true events, in the real story, they never figured out who the Watcher was. So to me, I'm like, I want closure. I want to know. I don't want to watch unsolved mysteries. I don't want to,
I don't like unsolved mysteries. It makes me anxious.
Exactly. So I watched this whole thing, and then I love when I watch anything based on true stories, and then I get to find out the real story behind it. And then they're like, it's still unsolved. I'm like, what the hell? This wasn't even a movie. This was a series that Josh and I watched over days. Like, we've been watching it the last few weeks. And then what? So then I Googled everything that really happened. There was one story that they were talking about in it that didn't happen in the house, but happened in the town. So, I right away Googled, and I found an article that just clearly says this happened, that didn't happen, this happened, that didn't happen. It was entertaining though, and there's definitely some jump scares.
So definitely, so it's like a movie?
It's a series on Netflix.
Okay, so it's a series. All right, man. See, I hate when it's series. I don't know why. I have a hard time committing. Okay, I have a hard time with commitment. So,
well, I think it was 7 episodes, and they're less than an hour each. So we're trying to find something, because Josh doesn't watch any of the Marvel TV shows or Star Wars TV shows. So it was like, it's spooky season. Let's watch something together. And then last night we started Midnight Club. Have you heard of that one?
We watched episode 1. How do you like it?
So, yeah, I'm loving the soundtrack because it's based in the 90s. Anybody who hasn't heard of it, it is the same writers as Haunting on Hill House, Bly Manor, and Midnight Mass. I've only seen 2 previous actors so far. But to give you a real quick kind of rundown, it's a bunch of teenagers who are all like terminally ill, and they're going to this house, and it's kind of like hospice, but they can like bond with each other and, live out their last days. But they have the Midnight Club. So every episode you have one of them telling a ghost story that they made up that's also very reflective of how they feel and what they're going through and how they perceive themselves or the others around them. But there's also a story that's going on throughout the series. So you got a little bit of both. I'm hoping we get that fun twist. I still think Haunting on Hill House was the best. Then I would say Midnight Mass, and then I would say Bly Manor. So I don't know where this will rank until it is done. But I didn't even know that they were doing a series this year. I had actually asked somebody about it recently, so I was excited to see that they were doing it again.
I will say, yeah, I didn't see anything leading up to this. Usually there's like some hype like, hey, Haunting of Hill House, hey, Midnight Mass. But this one just kind of dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, on my Supernatural chat, we're always like recommending different things. And that one came out. And I'm like, I don't even know what the hell y'all are talking about. And they're like, it's the new Bly Manor. I'm like, what?
Interesting.
And to release it, so I think it just came out. So it was kind of late in the season. Usually they release at the beginning of October.
Yeah, I think it came out within the last couple of weeks. I don't know. It's easier right now to watch movies with how much I have going on than it is to watch series, but I'm sure I'll find time, because the holidays aren't busy at all. So take a sit.
I just don't like to spend time looking for something to watch. I like to be like, this is what I'm going to watch. Oh, I did watch this half marathon training is already kicking my ass. So I got through a lot of Superman and Lois while running today. Let's move on to news because running is terrible.
Yeah, we have some news. Running can be terrible, yes. We do have some news. Why don't you lead us off?
So I don't have too much. Blizzard Beach in Orlando, Florida, Disney's Blizzard Beach will reopen next month, and they're going to have some Frozen stuff added to the park, and they will have a tropical Santa. This is definitely a fun water park that should not be slept on.
Tropical
I love
Santa.
Blizzard Beach. Well, they have Christmas music all year. Although the one year we had passes, they were closed at Christmas time, and I was all irritated. Like, what? Because they have two water parks.
Is this like a year-round? It's a year-round like Christmas themed water park?
Kinda, yeah. So we have Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. And so each of the parks are closed for like a month or two a year for refurbishment because it's a water park. And obviously it's done during the winter. But the one year we had season passes to the water parks, they refurbished it in November and December. I'm like, are you shitting me right now? Why wouldn't you refurbish Typhoon Lagoon right now? I'm like, I'm going to take our Christmas pictures of Blizzard Beach. It's going to be so cute.
You're ruining my life.
So, I mean, they play like regular music, but then they'll sprinkle in like you'll randomly hear like All I Want for Christmas or something like that in July.
Oh, I'm not ready for that stuff. So count me out.
Well, not now, but when you hear it randomly in July, it's fun. But it's not all fair. Christmas music. And that's the water park I've mentioned before where people complain that it's cold. So they keep it extra warm because it's just they see the fake icebergs and the fake snow and they think it's colder than it is.
Oh my God. People are so whack. People.
I don't know who complains. So yeah, whatever.
Dude. People are just complain. That's whack.
So Rick Riordan announced a new Percy Jackson book. And my last piece of news is DC's Walter Hamada is officially no longer the president of DC, which I feel like that can only be good.
I mean, so yes, from what I've been told, or not what I've been told, I don't have any secrets that nobody, I don't have anything that nobody else would know. So apparently Walter Hamada was responsible for like we need to change and need to be bringing in, this Superman, that Superman, everybody basically but Henry Cavill. So The Rock went around him. And this leads to this news. The Rock went around Walter Hamada and everybody else is on board. And now Henry Cavill is back as Superman in the DC universe. He posted a video on his social medias and it was like, I'm back. We have a lot of things in store for you. Thanks for never giving up hope. And so Superman's back and Walter Hamada's out. So I think what's going to happen is we might start seeing some positivity out of DC. The Ezra Miller stuff remains to be seen. However, with Henry Cavill coming back, my God, he's gorgeous. He's beautiful. And I cannot wait to see a Man of Steel 2 because nobody deserves a sequel movie more than he does as Superman. So I can't wait for that one. But some more news. The Doctor Who is coming to Disney Plus in 2023. They struck a deal to bring Doctor Who, the new series and everything is going to be streaming on Disney Plus in 2023. Which is pretty cool. That means we can actually kind of watch it as it airs because I know if you don't have like BBC and all that, you don't really get to watch it until sometime later or anything like that. So I'm excited.
They randomly move it too. I think like last season I was able to watch half of it and then had to pay for half of it. And we were halfway through the season. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to buy these last few episodes. I own such random episodes of Doctor Who.
Well, yeah, I do too. It's weird.
From 9 on, I own the most random of episodes.
It's weird. So there's that. Did you see the Ant-Man trailer?
I did see a little Ant-Man trailer.
Little, you mean huge. I think they turned it up 50 million. This is going to be sick. Wow. The Ant-Man trailer can be found. Go just search Ant-Man trailer and you'll find it. But Kang looks gorgeous as ever. We see his comic accurate suit a couple times. He calls Scott Ant-Man, and the theory is kind of like Kang might be stuck in this quantum realm. And what if he tricks Ant-Man into releasing him? And this is what kicks off the Kang dynasty and Secret Wars and all of that, which would be absolutely insane. Like, Scott goes from saving the universe in Endgame to unleashing absolute hell on the universe after Quantum Mania. So I'm excited. Oh my God, I can't tell you how excited. The Ant-Man movies are my favorite MCU movies.
Well, and Michelle Pfeiffer's not saying something. Like, she's like, there's something I never told you. So I feel like that's going to have a huge impact on what's going on, is whatever she knows.
Well, I mean, Marvel could be baiting and switching like they like to do in trailers. You
That's
never know.
fair.
But I'm excited. And then did you see the Guardians holiday special trailer?
Oh my gosh, it looks so fun. I'm ridiculously excited for this.
Okay, so I'm not the biggest Guardians of the Galaxy fan. That said, this looks like a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically Drax and crew. Peter's depressed because Gamora, so they decide to go to Earth, him and Mantis. Drax and Mantis, I should say.
Because it's Christmas time.
Yes, because it's Christmas time and they want to cheer him up, and they steal Kevin Bacon. Like,
I love that. When they're up there, I'm like, who? I'm like, especially after like She-Hulk, I'm like, is this going to be like somebody from Marvel? Like, what are they doing now? And when there was Kevin Bacon, I was like, this is perfection.
That's what I'm saying. It's like so crazy. Like Kevin Bacon randomly, and now he was already kind of in the MC. Not really.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I love that he's universe. He was a villain in X-Men First Class, and now he's himself in the I guess 616.
It's crazy. It's a wild time to be alive. James Gunn. This is not his final outing, because Guardians 3 will be his final outing, but this will probably set up, and I guess rumor is this is going to set up more things for the overall MCU. This is actually going to have some implications.
So that means we'll probably get cameos.
Yeah, something, right? They're saying they're not telling us something. This looks like fun, but what if at the end what if this is the reason why the Kang Dynasty happens, or Secret Wars, or they just introduce the Fantastic Four all of a sudden? Who knows?
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious. Like, nobody would see that coming in the Christmas special. They're going to think it's just something silly. Well, did we talk about Oscar Isaac, that he is in talks for bringing Moon Knight into the? I think we talked about that last week. We kind of
knew about that, and it's like an open secret, but they're not saying anything.
I mean, I don't see Marvel doing anything that's a completely standalone at this point. I just don't.
But Damon Lindelof, by the way, apparently is writing a Star Wars film. And this film is allegedly going to be taking place after Episode 9. But it's not connected to the Skywalkers, but it could feature people from the sequel trilogy. Speaking of like big connections and people in talks to do stuff. Apparently,
it's got to be connected.
I mean, if you're taking place after Episode 9 and you're talking about bringing sequel characters in, it's got to be connected, right? It just doesn't have to be a Skywalker story.
I feel like Star Wars only has one multiverse. It's just canon or not canon.
And yeah, at
least for now,
I guess for now. But also, like, it's just let the Skywalkers rest. We can tell tales of Jedi and things like that, but it doesn't have to all be, Skywalker based, which I'm hoping they do, because I'm enjoying the hell out of Andor, and that's not Jedi focused. It's some of the best Star Wars we've got. So if we can kind of focus on maybe bringing the Force back into things, but do it better this time, then I'm all for it.
You want the Force to be with you?
Well, of course, I miss seeing Jedi and lightsabers on the big screen. So to me, it's like, yeah, if we can do this and we can do it well, then I'm all for it. But I also just am weary of any Star Wars film coming out.
That's fair. At least the shows have been top notch.
Yeah, for sure. But let's roll into our main topic. Why don't we discuss Halloween's origin story? Why don't you kick us off with the main topic of the evening, which is Halloween's origin story?
And of course, a lot of this stuff is rooted in a lot of history, which is also a lot of urban legend, a lot of theories, a lot of bullshit, some fact, some fiction. Nobody really knows, but it's a lot of fun. So we're going to begin with a quote from Supernatural spoken by Sam Winchester in season 4. It's the Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester. He said, Samhain, actually he said Sam Hain because he said the name wrong, but it's Samhain is the damn origin of Halloween. The Celtics believe that October 31st was the one night of the year when the veil was thinnest between the living and the dead, and it was Samhain's night. Now, Sam Hain, which is actually pronounced Samhain, is kind of the origin story of Halloween. Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of him. But he wasn't actually considered a person at first. Like, he's been kind of portrayed in pop culture, including Supernatural, like he was a demon.
Oh, there it is, folks. There it is.
But it was really just a harvest festival. So let's learn a little bit about this festival. So the Celtics, who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the UK, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. This day marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, which was a time that was often associated with human death. The first known celebrations took place around 600 AD. So if you're calling this the origin of Halloween, that would make Halloween 3,500 years old. Well, older than that. Trick-or-treating is said to have been derived from ancient Irish and Scottish practices in the nights leading up to Samhain. I keep having to look at how it's phonetically pronounced because I just keep hearing Sam Winchester in my head saying it wrong.
Like Sam Hain, Sam Hain.
Because it's spelled Samhain. Well, what was funny is the podcast that I listened to, Salt and Burn This Pod, which is a Supernatural Rewatch podcast, they were very upset at the mispronunciation when they went over this episode. And that was the first time I had learned that they butchered the pronunciation. Huh. Like, it was 2005, y'all. You had Google.
Yeah, you come on.
It wasn't even 2005. This is season 4. It was 2009.
Get it together, man.
So, trick-or-treating is said to have derived from the ancient and Irish practices leading up to Samhain. In Ireland, mumming was the practice of putting on costumes, going door to door, and singing songs to the dead, and cakes were given as payment.
Oh, how cute. It's like Christmas caroling, but for dead people.
Yeah, a little bit. Christmas caroling's got to be the most awkward thing in the world. What was I? Oh, we watched Gremlins recently, and there's like caroling in there. I'm like, gosh.
Have you ever seen somebody Christmas caroling? Because I've never seen this
in real
happen.
life. No.
Like,
I don't know what I would do if they came. I would be so.
Don't come to my door while I'm trying to get drunk and watch stupid Christmas movies and sing me stupid songs of Jesus.
No, you have to put your arm around your partner and smile and stare at them awkwardly.
With our warm cup of eggnog. Ew, warm, gross. But our whiskey-filled eggnog glasses.
You'd be cold at the door.
Okay. Yeah, you're letting it. All you hear is the dad being like, "Yeah, we're not heating the outside. Shut the door."
I've never heard that, but I have heard we're not air conditioning the neighborhood.
Well, it's the same thing, I guess. When you're in Florida,
I know. We've never heard it say heat. Okay. So after ancient Celtics finished their harvest, they would celebrate with Druid priests and light a community fire using a wheel that would cause friction and spark flames. The wheel was considered a representation of the sun, and they would also pray, sacrifice cattle, and then take flame from the communal bonfire back to their home to relight the hearth. This lasted a few days, and not participating could lead to punishment by the gods. Anyone who committed a crime or used their weapons during this celebration could face a death sentence. Some documents mention 6 days of drinking alcohol to excess, typically mead or beer, along with gluttonous feasts. A lot of this is from the history.com website if you want to know any more and to give them credit for all the info I stole. Because it was believed that the barrier between worlds was breachable during Samhain, they prepared offerings that were left outside villages and fields for fairies or Sids. So again, that could be like the treats. It was expected that ancestors might cross over during this time, and the Celts would dress as animals and monsters so that the fairies were not tempted to kidnap them, hence dressing up. The trick part of trick-or-treat is also an ancient celebration, but tricks were typically blamed on the fairies. Those damn fairies. You got to fight them fairies. That's a Supernatural quote. Today, Samhain is usually celebrated from October 31st to November 1st and welcomes the harvest and ushers in the dark half of the year. Celebrants believe that the barriers between the physical and spirit world would break down during this, which I said before, allowing more interaction between humans and people from the other world. Do you want to take us over a little bit?
Humans. Of course I do. All Hallows Eve, also known as Halloween, was brought to the States through Irish immigrants that observed Samhain. However, the folks who celebrated Samhain, I don't know why I feel like saying it that way. I have to put emphasis because it's a thing now.
Well, it's
so
really
I feel
hard because
like
it doesn't look like that at all.
I just feel like it's a thing now. So there we are. So Samhain, as pagans didn't leave any writings detailing their holiday. By the time it was being written about, Ireland had effectively been Christianized. Man, those Christians ruin everything. They really do.
They do and they don't. And I do have it in the notes later. Like, because of these Christians trying to get rid of all these pagan holidays, we got Christmas beer out of it. And we get, like, St. Patrick's Day out of it. And apparently we get Halloween out of it. So
only
the
one
Christians,
thing you can dress up as, and that's Jesus on a cross, boy.
You could be Buddy Christ.
True.
But
get some Buddy Christ kites.
It's interesting, though. There you go. How many of these, pagan holidays the Christians try to like convert them by doing fun stuff, and then they just like took it and ran. So yeah, but whereas originally it seems it was just a harvest festival to honor the dead, almost more so like Dia de las Muertes. When the pagans began to get Christianized, it seemed to them it was nothing more. The definition of Samhain is the first day of November, celebrated by the ancient Celts as a festival marking the beginning of winter. It translates to summer's end. I think we already covered that, but guess what? Here's a reminder, folks. And today, Samhain is sometimes known as the Lord of Darkness. Oh, you thought darkness was your ally? In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get-togethers than about ghosts, pranks, witchcraft, and evil Christian moms. At the turn of the century, though, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Parents and parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes, all the while searching for drugs in their kids' candy that never actually was a thing, because who's spending $14,000 to drug children in the neighborhood? No one wants to give little Johnny your edibles, Karen.
Listen, Johnny isn't getting my edibles. Johnny's not getting my heroin. I need that to escape from the shitty reality that has become on all of us in adulthood, all right? So
although the edibles will probably help with his ADHD.
I mean, honestly, especially they're unruly children. Give your kid an edible. All right. If anybody from my profession is actually listening to this, I am clean. Don't give your kids drugs.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad, but sometimes they work.
This week it's don't say no. No, just say no. We get the kids' school. It always is like to drugs, like leading up to Halloween. They dress up as different things because they're not celebrating Halloween. They're celebrating saying no to drugs. And my 5-year-old's like, "What's drugs?" I'm like, why are you telling these 5-year-olds to say no to drugs?
Remember, you're dressing as a Power Ranger this year to say no to drugs. You're gonna beat drugs ass.
Say we're
What's
superheroes.
Drugs? I just want a fucking Reese's cup.
No. That's so ridiculous.
Oh, God. Anyways, Christianity gained a foothold in pagan communities, as it always seems to do. Church leaders attempted to reframe Samhain as a Christian celebration. However, the first attempt was by Pope Boniface. In the 5th century, he moved the celebration to May 13th and specified it as a day celebrating saints and martyrs. The fire festivals of October and November, however, did not end with this decree, because guess what? It's not a phase, Pope. All right?
Fuck yo, redirection.
Yeah. And so in the 9th century, Pope Gregory moved the celebration back to the time of the fire festivals, but declared it All Saints' Day on November 1st. All Souls' Day would follow on November 2nd. And during the Catholic All Souls' Day, which is November 2nd, poor citizens would beg for food and families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for their promise to pray for the family's dead relatives. Because there's nothing more Christian than having a bunch of poor people beg for food and stuff, and you going over here like, I'll feed you, but you have to pray for your family.
So what if they didn't, then they get a trick or treat?
You didn't pray? Well, guess what? Jesus don't love you. Anyways, The distribution of soul cakes was encouraged by the church as a way to I can't take this seriously. Soul cakes? It just sounds so ridiculous. Like, come get your soul cakes, guys. It sounds like something in the 70s where we're all doing drugs.
Soul be on the Soul Plane. Remember the movie with Snoop Dogg? They served soul
listen
cakes.
To Soul Train, eating some soul cakes. Anyways, soul cakes was encouraged by the church as a way to replace the ancient practice of leaving food and wine for roaming spirits. The practice, which was referred to as going a souling, was eventually taken up by children who would visit the house in their neighborhood and be given ale, food, and money. So you're going to have kids show up and visit the houses in the neighborhood. You're going to give them alcohol?
Well, I mean, back then everyone drank ale.
This is wild.
It's probably like 3%.
This is wild. Why don't you take it from here?
All right. So dressing in costume for Halloween, we mentioned one theory of that to, hide from fairies, but it has some other roots in it as well. So winter was an uncertain and frightening time. Food supplies often ran low. And for many people afraid of the dark, the short days of winter were a constant worry. I don't see how that's... Oh, wait. On Halloween, when it was believed that ghosts came back to the earthly world, I wasn't done. People thought that they would encounter ghosts if they left their homes. So to avoid being recognized by these ghosts, people would wear masks when they left their homes after dark so that the ghosts would mistaken them for fellow spirits. On Halloween, to keep ghosts away from their house, people would place bowls of food outside their homes to appease the ghosts and prevent them from attempting to enter. So there really are like multiple theories on the whole trick-or-treating thing. It's the go-a-souling, keeping the ghosts away. It's a lot of it. But I do think it was more of a Dia de los Muertos thing at first. So much like Christmas beer, like I mentioned before, we get Halloween because Christians are just trying to convert pagans, or so it seems.
Well,
do you want to do the jack-o'-lantern story? And then I'm going to do the witches and beer story.
We have a jack-o'-lantern story. So we have some urban legends we'll go over. So the first is the jack-o'-lantern story, which legend has it that stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. But Jack didn't want to pay, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin. Jack then pocketed the coin and kept it close to a silver cross in his house, preventing the devil from taking shape again. Jack promised to let the devil go as long as he would leave Jack alone for a year. Jack, you got a bargain better, buddy. Only a year? The devil's probably like, all right. Cool. See you next year. We'll do this again.
Sounds like a Winchester to me.
All right. So if Jack died, the devil wouldn't claim his soul. The next year, Jack tricked the devil again to leave him alone and not claim his soul. When Jack died, God didn't want such a conniving person in heaven, and the devil, true to his word, would not allow him into hell. So Jack was sent off into the night with only a burning coal to light his path. He replaced the coal inside a carved-out turnip and has been roaming the earth ever since. In Ireland and Scotland, people began creating their own creations of jack-o'-lanterns out of turnips, beets, and potatoes. The tradition traveled...
Today, Junior.
Today, the tradition traveled to the United States along with immigrants and people who began to use pumpkins, kind of like how George Washington made pumpkin beer. And fun fact, did you know the state of Illinois accounts for over 40% of the country's pumpkins grown?
I did not.
Well, now you do, folks, because it's true. I looked it up when I was making my trivia for tonight. Apparently, Illinois is the biggest grower and contribution giver of pumpkins in the United States.
The more you know.
Stingy Jack, Florida that was just in a movie I watched. I think it was the Curse of Bridge Hollow. Stingy Jack was the main villain spirit in that movie.
Oh, that's fun. I still need to watch that one. And that's kid friendly, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's kid friendly. Yeah, it was solid.
I did watch your review. Okay. So this next one about witches and beer is truly urban legend. It's been construed a little bit as fact, but this is completely urban legend. I hope that it is true. I love this theory. So there are many stories of women who were accused of being witches of what was really going on. Like there's one, like they were eating moldy bread because they didn't have good water and whatnot. And it was literally making them go crazy. And then they'd get sent to the church, and at the church they had good water and good bread, and they were eating healthy, and they would get healthy, and then they would go home and they would get evil again. And it was because of Satan. It wasn't because of the moldy bad bread or bad water or whatever. So there's multiple, different theories of that, of what was going on. And a lot of it was just witch hunts. I mean, we call them that now, witch hunts. So one of the theories of that witches were brewers. They use a cauldron to brew. I mean, right there, you would brew beer over an open fire on a cauldron. The hats, they would actually wear the tall, pointy hats to market so that people could find them and be like, oh, okay, there's the lady selling beer. Let me go over there and buy my beer. They would put a broom outside of their shop when the beer was ready. So it let you know. I mean, you got to have a broom. You got to clean. If anybody who's brewed beer knows that a good part of brewing is cleaning. But when the beer was ready, they would hang the broom up outside so you could come in and get your beer. And then the cats. There was always cats around when you're brewing because the cats keep the rats out of the malt. So I think that is a great fun fact. I know Brew Witch, who has been on Hops News with us for many episodes, that's where she gets her name. So anytime you see that, witches be brewing, and it's just perfect. There was actually a brewery here for a little bit, but they closed. That was called Black Cauldron. And it was, based on that theory. So that's my witches be brewing.
I do miss Brew Witch.
Urban legend that I love to revisit every Halloween. So some random candy or some random fun facts about Halloween. Did you know candy corn was originally called chicken feed and was invented in the late 1800s, but it didn't become candy corn or a Halloween staple until the 1950s?
I did. I just found this out while building my trivia. That's crazy.
The White House was first decorated for Halloween in 1958 by Mamie Eisenhower. In 2022, the National Retail Federation estimated that Americans would spend an average of $100 on costumes, candy, decor, and cards. That seems very low to me.
It definitely does, doesn't it?
I mean, maybe it's for like one person, I suppose. I don't know. So William Shakespeare actually wrote the Song of Witches, which is the double, double, toil and trouble, which I only ever hear the Harry Potter one in my head.
I think of the Olsen twins.
Fire, Burn, and Cauldron Bubble. It's from Macbeth. It's a trio of witches, and they recite the poem as they scheme over a bubbling cauldron, and it's been associated with witches ever since. Before costumes and trick-or-treating, Halloween was a night of pranking. The pranks eventually got out of control, and in 1933, vandals caused millions of dollars of damage across the United States, leading people to refer to it as Black Halloween. From 1909 to the 1940s, the Denison Manufacturing Company, a paper goods manufacturer located in Massachusetts, was one of the leading producers of Halloween costumes, invitations, and decorations in the U.S. The rise in available Halloween-related goods is actually what spurred popularity of the holiday, which makes complete sense because we just want to buy shit.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Hot. James Gunn and Peter Safran will be running DC Films, which will now be called DC Studios, and they will act as co-CEOs and co-chairs.
Holy shit.
That's crazy. James Gunn, give him the universe.
Is he going to be their Feige?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Well, that should be fun. I feel like that's good for everyone.
Yeah, no, I'm in.
Except for the guy who just left DC.
Yeah, well, screw him. Anyways, we're back. Carry on.
So the first official Halloween party guide, titled Halloween, How to Celebrate It, was published in 1897. The annual Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular, held at Roger Williams Park Zoo in Providence, Rhode Island, every year displays more than 6,000 jack-o'-lanterns during their annual festival. It's one of the largest displays in the country, drawing roughly around 115 to 140 visitors each year. I actually got to go in 2016, and it was really cool. I don't know how all the, as soon as you carve your pumpkin, it starts to decompose.
That's true.
It's really impressive.
Ours are already starting to do that.
All right, so you want to go into some urban legends, and when you go through them, I can then tell you what happened in Supernatural with them?
Oh, sure. Well,
I won't. I'll leave you alone.
Just a couple things. The first we have is the old Bloody Mary. If you have ever been in a dark bathroom, chanted the name Bloody Mary 3 times, and nothing has happened to us, because this urban legend is a childhood tale of Bloody Mary. Rumor has it if someone looks into a mirror and repeats Bloody Mary 3 times, a bloody woman appears. Sometimes she's holding a dead baby. Some historians suspect this woman is Queen Mary I of England, who is known as Bloody Mary because she accused 280 Protestants of heresy and ordered them to burn at the stake. According to SmithsonianMag.com, Mary also had a history of irregular menstrual cycles and miscarriages, which also adds meaning to her nickname. And also makes sense she's holding a dead baby.
That's some fucked up shit right there.
Yeah, so somebody turned her misfortune into, hey, guess what? This crazy lady's going to come to your mirror and haunt your life if you say her name 3 times in the bathroom because you and your friends are acting stupid.
Yeah, because your friend dared you.
That's true. I remember those days. We all did it. I'm still here. What happened in Supernatural?
I did it
with Bloody
recently.
Mary?
Because I just rewatched that episode. The first season of Supernatural does a really creepy Bloody Mary episode, but it has they all tend to put a supernatural twist on it. They did say her name correctly, though.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. It's like Beetlejuice, except for not fun. Anyways, here's the background into witches and where witches have come from. It's unclear exactly when witches came on the historical scene, but one of the earliest records of a witch is in the Bible, in the book of Samuel, thought to be written between 931 BC and 721 BC. That's before Christ for you kids at home. And it tells the story of when King Saul sought the witch of Endor. Hold up! The Endor? In a galaxy far,
there's
far
Ewoks
away?
in the Bible. You didn't read the book of
Ewoks
Samuel?
roam in the Bible and they beat... Wow, the Bible is... Okay, so time out. So the Bible is actually about Star Wars, which means Star Wars is really a religion, which means I've been doing this whole thing wrong this whole time. Interesting. Well, King Saul, better call Saul, sought the witch of Endor to summon the dead prophet Samuel's spirit to help him defeat the Philistine army. The witch roused Samuel. All right, that's a little X-rated for the Bible. And then prophesied the death of Saul and his sons.
Have you read the Bible? The whole thing's X-rated.
That's true. The next day, according to the Bible, Saul's son died in battle. Too many B's. And Saul then committed suicide. Yeah, hello. This is a little R-rated for the children listening at home. Other Old Testament verses condemn witches, such as the oft-cited Exodus 22:18, which says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Live. Additional biblical passages caution against divination, chanting, or using witches to contact the dead. Witch hysteria really took a hold in Europe during the mid-1400s, when many accused witches confessed, often under torture, little asterisk there, to a variety of wicked behaviors. Within a century, witch hunts were common, and most of the accused were executed by burning at the stake or hanging. Single women, widows, and other women on the margins of society were especially targeted. You know, it's pretty messed up, man. A little messed up. Just saying. Again, Christianity.
The whole theory with the brewers, the witches being brewers, sorry, just to cut you off real quick, was that when white men realized they could make money off beer, they started accusing them of being witches so that they could take over.
White dudes in Christianity, y'all just really ruin everything.
Again, urban legend, though.
No, it's pretty true in real legend that white dudes and Christians ruin everything.
Brewing beer part.
Oh, God. All right. Well, between the years 1500 and 1660, up to 80,000 suspected witches were put to death in Europe. Around 80% of them were women thought to be in cahoots with the devil and filled with lust. Germany had the highest witchcraft execution rate, while Ireland had the lowest. That's because everybody in Ireland was just drinking and having a good time, man.
Right. Well, in Germany, they're big about their beer.
Germany also doesn't have the best track record when it comes to stuff, so.
That's fair.
Interesting. But yeah, well, let's talk werewolves now. The last one I have is some werewolves. So again, it's really unclear exactly when and where the werewolf legend originated. Some scholars believe the werewolf made its debut in the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Lycanthropes? Lycanthropes?
Yes, lycans. The oldest known Western prose, when Gilgamesh jilted a potential lover because she had turned her previous mate into a wolf. Werewolves made another early appearance in Greek mythology with the legend of Lycaon. Oh, God. Yes, Lycaon. According to the legend, Lycan, the son of Pelas. God damn it. Why do these legends do this to me? You know I'm illiterate.
Hey, at least I didn't do it this time.
They angered the god of Zeus when he served him a meal made from the remains of a sacrificed boy. It's pretty savage. As punishment, the enraged Zeus turned Lycan and his sons into wolves. Werewolves also emerged in early Nordic folklore. The saga of Volsungs tell the story of a father and son who discovered wolf pelts that had the power to turn people into wolves for 10 days. The father-son duo donned the pelts, transformed into wolves, and went on a killing rampage in the forest. Their rampage ended when the father attacked his son, causing a lethal wound. The son only survived because a kind raven gave the father a leaf with healing powers. So in other words, the father and son took some really good acid or mushrooms and donned some wolf pellets and just went crazy. And of course, they blamed it on magic because you could do that back in like the 1600s and stuff. You can say magic made me do it rather than like,
chemical reactions were magic.
Exactly. So back then, it was a lot easier to get away with shit. Now, if I donned wolf pellets and went on a murdering rampage, no amount of acid or magic is going to get me out of that one.
I mean, hell, wasn't there like 2 serial killers that they now think were probably the same serial killer?
Exactly. Everything's messed up. But some really good werewolf. If you've never actually seen an American Werewolf in London and Paris and all that, those are really good werewolf movies to watch if you're looking for a good werewolf film. It's all practical effects. The American Werewolf in London, like, very, very good movie. It's practical. It's some of the transition pieces are very like uncomfortable to look at in a way too. And so it's a good gruesome horror movie. I very much recommend watching that. It's very old. It's from 1981, and then American Werewolf in Paris was from 1997. So go check those out. Witches, of course, you have Hocus Pocus and things like that. And even in Hocus Pocus, I mean, they were trying to eat children's souls, so it's not like the most kid friendly. But yeah, that's kind of all we have. Do you have anything to add?
I did look it up. So it's lycanthrope is another word for werewolf. It traces back to a Latin Greek combination of like from locos meaning wolf and anthropos meaning human being. So it literally just translates to wolf person. But yes, I mean, all of these things are in Supernatural if you want to know how to kill all of them. No, that's all I got. I mean, happy Halloween, everybody. Stay safe, make good choices, drink some good beer.
Do all the drugs you find in your kids' candy.
Eat lots of Reese's peanut butter cups.
There's always a parent tax. Remember that. And guess what? Inflation has hit extra hard this year, so don't cheap yourself out. Kids got to learn someday.
It's a teachable moment.
It's a very big teachable moment. I'm going to be taking my kids trick-or-treating, and I will be taking half of their candy. Probably not half, but I will be taking some of their candy.
I was going to say, what kind of tax bracket are they in?
Oh, depends. I don't know. They've gotten a lot of candy lately, so who knows? But
that's fair.
Yeah, no, that's all I got. Happy Halloween, everybody. And again, go and subscribe to us, follow us, share with a friend, go to patreon.com/HopsgeekNews. Spotify is fixed, so we are actually on Spotify again. Our newest episodes are there. Make sure you tune in, check it out. We'll be back next week to discuss Namor and Ironheart to get you ready for the premiere of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. So excited for that. So until next time, everybody, grab a nice pumpkin beer, grab some candy, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.